I'm Jack, captain at the People's Toolco. We got challenged the other day to do some Wonga style videos on our Instagram. So you challenged and we've accepted. We're on site today at Murrindindi with Causa Building Group because he's throwing together some mint trusses. We're going to go have a look.
His name's Ricky Causa. Started Causa Building Group just over a year and a half ago now. I come into the trade quite late, dabbled around with a few trades, plumbing, tree lopping, demolition. Went away up north and that for a little bit to play football and that, and sort of come back and had to choose a career path, and spoke to a good mate of mine who was running a successful company and asked to jump on board with him. And I think about 2 weeks later I was working with him and really haven't looked back since. Got offered 6 at Mooroolbark through a bloke I knew quite well, and he sort of helped me out a fair bit, sort of gave me the chance when I didn't have too much of a crew or anyone behind me. Sort of took the plunge, went in the deep end, and then just sort of found my feet as I went through. Yeah, we're up to 3 staff now. We did go a little bit larger scale through the middle part of last year, went to 5 or 6, and sort of found I was losing, not control, but the quality was sort of not there, which is sort of something I base the business around. Sort of try and stand out from a lot of people, try and set that quality bar quite high so I sort of stand out in the crowd a little bit. That's the niche I'm trying to find anyway, so. I don't see myself getting out of the trade at all, really. It's sort of, I think after, like I said, I was late into it, and I think I found the passion. Like I said, getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm always on site at 6. It's not, I don't dread coming to work, so I quite enjoy it. So I don't think I'd ever change my trade. Maybe try and expand it in certain ways, but still within the carpentry industry. And as far as parts that we do frame lock-up fix, everything from start to go on most of our projects. So I sort of like that variety. You're sort of not stuck in that one framing the whole time or lock up the whole time inside. So I think we've got a good balance at the moment, so I'm enjoying it. Most rewarding part, probably the end result. Like obviously going from start to go, sort of you get to see the project sort of evolve as stage by stage, and then seeing it come together. I think that final sort of when the owner moves in and you sort of get to see the whole project all together is definitely a big reward. But it's one of those things, and then it's like you always hear, you drive past and you say, I built that one, I built that one. So it's sort of it's good knowing that you put your input into something that people becomes their homes. So. My boss was very, very good. Like he put in a lot of time for me, maybe because we were mates as well, but he was a great teacher. So sort of when I went out, I reckon I was pretty well equipped with sort of what was coming. I was running a crew under him when I was an apprentice, so I sort of felt like I had those tools and that. So if a young fella come out and sort of said that he wanted to run his own thing, I'd say go for it, because I believe everyone's got to push themselves. And the only thing I'd sort of try and give him advice on is the money side of thing, I think. Like I sort of struggled a little bit with that early stages, sort of went out on my own with not a lot of back end and probably not too much knowledge with invoicing and rates and all that. So I'd sort of just try and gear him up as much as I can with rate prices and sort of just give him that basis to try and work something off. Yep, so we're lucky enough to have a template of a truss, obviously to the back section of the house that has been pre-made. So we sort of had like a couple of datum points to relate to. So we sort of based everything off that, and then sort of just worked, obviously the roof being 37 degrees, we just worked all our webbings to 37 degrees. There was no set height on that apex, the top apex on the actual truss itself. So we sort of just made everything work, look symmetrical, all the triangles and all that work out to be the exact same. All the webbings all 37 degrees, so everything sort of looks you know, everything sort of matches up to one another. It all ties into the roof and everything. So we sort of just use that as our starting point, and then obviously fudged a few little things along the way, but the way we've run with it, I think it's come up really well. So just at the moment, just setting up these pilot holes. Got a few, once we knacked through the first one, we seem to have a bit of a system going with me and Andy. We sort of got all our holes and all that all sorted out, a few templates and that we sort of worked all our bolt holes out and all that through, all the different webbings and all that, so everything sort of lines up. These are all exposed, obviously just get painted, and then all the washers and all that, everything has to all sort of line up all one way, because it's all at the end product. Obviously, once everything's up in the air, she all comes together nice and straight. And then with the angles and all that, externally, internally, once we're done, the whole ceiling, the actual rafters and that come up through this top section, and then it will be all lined. So as far as getting everything spot on now is probably the most critical point, because once we come to that ceiling and everything sort of lines in together, we don't really have much room to play. And then this top cord here runs through, which obviously picks up our top cord up off the steel there, and then everything's pitched off that, which sort of creates the false ceiling look. And then, yeah, so what do you reckon, Andy? I think first few runs we sort of had a bit of trial and error, because we sort of pinged the wrong top section and we couldn't get this canva. Last time these were built, they created a little bit of a fall once all the weight went onto it. So we sort of put a couple dowel joins through here, and we've put a 10mm canva in it this time, just because we feel like that will reduce the issue of it sinking. We're hoping once everything's loaded and that it does settle back to level. So that's the plan anyway. Yeah, so sort of half and half. We did have the luxury of, we obviously kept one truss down through this section that's already been pitched and all that. So we did have the luxury of having a template on the ground, and then we've sort of just based everything off that. Obviously keeping these angles at the same as the roof, so making everything work together at that 37 degrees. So we sort of were lucky in that instance with this one. We sort of had something to go off, so it made it a little bit easier. And then just obviously getting any little problems and that, fudging them out as we went through it. So it's worked out all right. Once we had that first one built, I think we sort of worked through any little hiccups or anything that we had, and then we sort of just went from there. So I think we're on top of it now. And then we've got these ones that we're currently building, which there's 6 of, which go either end of the main section of the house. And then there's a couple larger ones that run through this section of the house, which will, once we come to it, we'll just re-template it and then obviously extend that out. So yeah. Hand tool, definitely me hammer. The Martinez hammer is something I always sort of wanted, and I finally come around to getting it. And I know I speak to a few of the boys and they've got them as well. And you don't look back. It's one of those things you use every day, so it's definitely well worth it. Power tool, a bit left centre of it, probably the double battery blower. I always used to hate sweeping, especially frames and that, and getting the nails out of the corner. And ever since I brought that thing, it just destroys it. So that's probably my favourite power tool. Gas or air? My old boss was big on air. He pumped through the air. Didn't really give you much gas at all unless you're on the roof, then he would give it to you. But I sort of go on mainly cordless and that these days. I sort of try and push gas a little bit. I sort of look at it as time, not drag and stuff, and convenience of having the gas gun there. It sort of saves on the time and money spent on gas. So I think that sort of weighs itself out in one way, so definitely gas. I ran the trailer for the first few years, and it just sort of, I didn't have a great car either, so maybe that's half the reason, but since I got the truck, it's just made life so much easier. You literally pull up to a site, everything's there, and away you go. So I haven't looked back since I brought the truck, 100%. Yeah, it's a hard one because I do have 2 kids and a family and that, so it's a hard one to balance. Definitely don't mind working long days and then having the weekend for the family. At the start I probably did go long days and 6 days a week and sort of weighed things up a little bit and then sort of tried to put things into balance a little bit better. I think I got the balance better now where I do the occasional Saturdays, but I just try and get the hours in Monday to Friday and then sort of have those 2 days for the family. So that's a good one. Better not get in trouble yet. Nah, definitely. I reckon it's easier going to work, building a business. Definitely. My little man's full on, and the missus she's unreal. So I'll spend a couple of days on the weekends. If she goes out, I end up scratching at my head and ready to go outside. So I'd much rather come to work than raise the kids full time at home, I reckon. Yep, so once we got that first, obviously did the first one on the ground because we obviously had the chalk line on the ground. We adjusted a few things just with obviously putting the packers and that in just to make everything look like it's got that 20mm shadow line throughout because obviously there are metal brackets in certain sections of the truss. So we just cut one of each to start with, made sure everything was right. Had to do a few adjustments here and there just on a few little angles and that, and then once we got that right and we felt everything was all matching up and all that, then we went ahead, did a large pre-cut for the next 5 of them, and then yeah, it's flowing a lot quicker now with the pre-cut and all that once we've got our angles and all that. So the way these have been engineered, we've got 2 steel cleats in this bottom section where Andy's drilling through at the moment. Something similar to that with a double through the bottom section, and then we've got 2 main ones that go up through the top chord as well, sort of strengthen everything else up, and then the larger ones, and then sort of the sections that don't require the metal brackets, we've sort of just put a packer in between just so we get that same 12mm gap consistent the whole way through, so everything looks the same. Pretty much that's what's going. Depends on what part of the truss it is, but something similar to that's going in between each top and bottom in between the sandwich, so we get that sort of same shadow line through this section the whole way consistent. So I do know his son, so I knew the sort of work that he'd previously done, this builder. Sort of looked him up online and that, and he obviously does a lot of high-end, a lot of architectural builds and that, so I was interested in his work. And then he sort of come to me, obviously most of his work being in the city, sort of come to me and said, would you like to come out and have a meeting here, and seen the plans and that, and sort of straight away I knew it was something that I was very interested in. So yeah, we took it from there, ended up getting the job, and yeah, haven't looked back since really, because it's just one of those jobs, even though, how long you been here, Andy? Start of Feb, and it's just one of those jobs that throws new challenges up to you, and yeah, it really does, sort of it's out of the ordinary, so it's one of those things. I think there's on a subfloor, I think there's about 168 stumps or something, so a lot of work, prep work and all that went into it just to get to this point here, and I think now it's starting to, all the good aspects and the sort of aspects where it gets you thinking is coming together now, so I think favourite part, probably frame in summer. I love the sun, so I love being outdoors. Definitely framing. Hanging the doors always, front doors, always one of the favourites. It's always the show. First thing you sort of see when you come up to a house is the front door, so bigger the better. Probably one thing I have struggled with was employees. Like the first bloke, the young fella who I've still got with me now, Riles, he was my first apprentice and probably one of a rare bunch. He's always early to site, never late. So I sort of got lucky with him. And then after that, I went through a sort of rough patch, mainly with qualifieds. I found tough finding a good qualified. They either one didn't rock up or keep rocking up late, or the quality sort of, as soon as you weren't there, the quality dropped off dramatically. So finding good qualifieds, I got Andy's on board on this job here, and he's he's been really good, so always on time, neat work, and even when I haven't been around, obviously was away for the first 2 weeks of this build and come back and the joint was immaculate, everything was done up to code standards, everything was nice, neat, so yeah, once I got Andy, I think everything's coming, we're looking up all right now, so. One challenge that I didn't expect, definitely the paperwork. Like I was a bit naive at the start, sort of just went gun-ho, framing, putting the frames together, and loved going to work long hours, and sort of the paperwork and that definitely got put on the back burner and definitely caught up to me as I went down the track and ended up with 4 or 5 blokes. I sort of, it was something that I definitely didn't put enough time into it, and it did bite me a little bit. But I think now, even though I don't like it, I think I've got a good balance between the partner and the bookkeeper. They sort of work well together, so it takes the heat off that a little bit. Once we sort of had that first template put together and made a few slight adjustments in that, Andy went ahead and done the large pre-cut, sort of put all our pieces together. Once we knew we had the shape and the angles and that we wanted, we sort of just went ahead, did a big pre-cut, and obviously it's making the process a lot quicker now. We know all our heights and all that, so just sort of, we probably push to get it 1.5 done in a day now, sort of one fully built bolt off. Obviously drilling from both ends so we don't get any splits at the back. Takes a little bit longer, and drilling through a bit of steel, but I think, yeah, we push for one fully built and then a whole nother one laid out and all put together, screwed together, ready for bolting the next day. So. Putting a lot of it, all these bolts and all that in with a soft mallet, just so no damage and that to the bolts, because they will just obviously cop one light coat of paint, and then that's about it. So we take any chips or anything off the actual nuts or the bolts themselves, so we'll all be exposed once the ceiling goes up. I think one of the biggest issues we did have on the first one was getting those, obviously with the washers lining up on both sides of the truss. Sort of, if they are a mil or two off, it does create an issue on the backside. So we did try a few jigs and that, and a few different things, and it sort of seemed the best process was to freehand it. So we sort of just marked both ends of it and then went through with a small, about a 6 mil, and then we found if we missed that hole slightly, then we could adjust it with a larger pilot hole, and then once again go from the 10 to the 12 to finally the 16 before we threw the bolt through. So after all the trial and error, we sort of found human judgment was the best sort of thing. So we had a few press drills and that set up, and they sort of, if everything wasn't perfect millimetre level, we just weren't getting that result on the backside. So I'm big on time. So like I said, I reckon I'm on site at 6 o'clock, 6:15 at the latest. So I'm massive on time. Even my kids, the two I've got now, I encourage them. I sort of got told that way through my old man, and then when I was doing my apprenticeship, you never be late to work. So even though I probably push it too early, they definitely time. I think that shows a good character. It's a good trait to have, that you want to get to work and you're not rocking up at 7, unloading, and then before you get into it, 7:30, and you haven't planned the day ahead. So definitely time would be the major one, I reckon. I try and, it's a hard balance sometimes. I try and find that basis where you can joke around and try and not take work too serious. You try and, sometimes you get the balance wrong and maybe sometimes people take advantage of you, but I think if you got that culture where everyone gets along, can have a joke and sort of they come to work and enjoy work, I think that probably you get the most productive out of it as well, because everyone's sort of there, they're having fun, they want to be there, and then I think they all sort of work in for you. So definitely trying to get that, everyone on the same basis, just trying to have fun and learning at the same time, because at the end of the day it is a business as well, so trying to find that balance is definitely a tricky one, but I think we've got it at the moment. With the 4 we have a good laugh and at the same time still get things done. So yeah, so I always find myself being one of the last ones to leave as well. So sort of like at the end of the day, like to just have a walk around, either cleaning up or just as I slowly starting to go, like to have a look around, check everything, make sure everything's done. That way I find I can spot stuff as I'm walking around the job without people asking me questions or things to do. Sort of a good help. And then I always think, sort of try and plan the week out. Obviously it never, it never works out how you plan it to be, but you try and have that basis and then you always sort of shuffle things around from there. So a clean site, I reckon, just helps things flow a lot quicker. I do notice when there's a lot of stuff around, a lot of tools out, that it does sort of slow. People sort of half clean up, move tools, trying to get ladders in position and they can't, they've got to move either timber or whatever's in the way. So if we've got that clean slate to work off, I think it does really help. Just sealing all the joins here with a primer. Just anything that the painter can't get to once they're in position. Obviously any butt joins and all that, we're just sealing up now. So just we know, peace of mind, everything, even though it's internal, everything's still sealed up. Just going with putting a dowel joint on this one through the middle as well. Obviously being the weakest point of the truss, we've decided 6 bolts through this section, and just to put a little bit extra on it, we're just going with the dowel joint as well. So hopefully eliminate anything from sagging down once the weight and all that, everything settles. Back down a little bit.
Cheers for watching. Leave a comment what you thought of it and hit like and subscribe. We're going to try and upload weekly, so if you've got a project you would like to see, let us know down below. Tune in next week for part 2. Cheers.